Jacob born. Do you know how much I've missed you? Do you know how much I've longed for you? Your embrace, your supple, warm embrace, it gets me through the day. It gets me through the day. Because your love is an addiction. The drug I need to survive. It's not good enough over the airwaves. I need you from behind. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Any of it.
That sounded a very gay porno beginning.
Yeah, hey, it's been a while. No one heard that. So, what's up?
Not much. What's up with you?
It is April 15th, 2014, and it's been like 2 months since we decided to say, hey, for better or for worse, we're actually going to publish this episode.
Yeah, it's been a little long since we've published something.
Well, before we get into the playoffs, right, because that's what's going on in Born to Pop, where it is playoff talk.
No, it's playoff time.
It's playoff time. So, but let's a little background. What's been going on? I'll give you all my point of view. Jake will give you his point of view, and it'll sum up to roughly the last 45, maybe 60 days. Okay, so after the Olympics, or since the Olympics rather, we've recorded a handful of episodes to varying degrees of quality. And we have a couple we're simply not going to publish, and we have a few that eventually will be published when I get around to it. From my point of view though, life started to really get in the way. I've gone through a handful of jobs, and I need more work. So I've been concentrating very hard on securing proper work, as well as, career, progressing jobs. I've gotten sick a few times. I'm currently getting over a bout of food poisoning. Fortunately, I'm finally seeing the other side of that curve. Oh my gosh. As well as in between, I had a few, attitude adjusting experiences. And when I go through those, it takes me a bit of time to process and to figure out how to implement the new learned lessons. And it's the way I am. And when you have a show that no one's getting money for and nobody's banging down your door to listen to, it's very easy to reprioritize towards health, job progression, and maturity. And you start to run out of time and run out of energy for your side projects, which is for me what Born to Puck is at this time. It's a very important and very passionately loved side project, but I have other things I need to put more energy into. And so to find the 6 to 10 hours per episode to record it like I am right now, and to edit it and to publish it, I mean, sometimes you just don't have it. And then, this is the last part, and then Jake, you should take over, is you fall out of habit. Life is a series of routines, short-term and long-term. And for a while, we built up this habit of doing a couple episodes a week. And then by the time we got to about a month of not publishing, I was officially out of that habit. So getting back into the habit has been hard. And that's roughly been me since the Olympics. What's been going on with you, Jake?
Yeah, so since the Olympics, that is when school and my personal life has decided to completely revamp itself. Actually, right at the Olympics, I was not necessarily, I don't know, it was just, life had given me a few punches. right around that time. And then so there's just been a lot of very good and very positive things that have happened in the next last 2 months. Like you said, we tried to do, some podcasts and we got them recorded, but whether or not they see the light of day still remains to be seen. But it's been a lot of going home back to St. Louis or going on spring break, with my friends, which was back down in Texas, which was an absolute blast. I had so much fun doing that. And then it's been a lot of scholarship, forms and interviews I've had to do. I recently got a job with the Milwaukee Brewers. MLB, doing, social media and multimedia work for them, so that the entire application, interview, and hiring process took place in between. I put in the application, I want to say right around the time of the gold medal game of the Olympics.
Yep.
I had an interview the next week, and then the week of, I think the official date was March 8th or something like that, is when I got officially hired. So it was like a 3-week process of me just going balls to the wall trying to get hired by this. And then right after spring break, I went home for a weekend, to hang with my family. Exactly, because
you need to step away from responsibility and throw your feet up and just enjoy your loved ones.
Exactly, because I hadn't been home since January, like the first week of January, and at this point it was late March. So it'd been a long time. And then as soon as I come back up here, the next weekend was my fraternity's formal, which was another big thing. The week after that, we installed a new chapter at UWM, meaning that we had our big nationals come in and they oversaw the initiation and all that good stuff, which was super cool. And then the week after that was our initiation, which was Saturday. So it's been a whirlwind of things and school piling on top of each other. And on top of that, Matt, I already told you a little bit about this, but I also have a new girlfriend, which is fantastic. So that's been, I've been hanging out with her a lot over this past 6 weeks. And so it's been a fantastically awesome 2 months, but the unfortunate thing is that I haven't been able to put in as much time and dedication as we had beforehand into this. And so I'm looking forward to being able to get back into that routine and having podcasts throughout these playoffs, because I know these playoffs are going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and one more point before we get into your perfect segue is that all in all, for better, mostly better, I would say the overwhelming majority for better,
yes,
and some for the worse, life in its various iterations got in the way. And when I said 6 to 10 hours per episode, I need to fix my own process, but my editing process alone is 6 to 10 hours just to get it up on YouTube and then onto the website. And that's part of that has to do because my computer can only go so fast when it's rendering and processing, but life got in the way. And when life gets in the way, you're forced into prioritization. And unfortunately, this was lower on the rung than it had been. But we've come out the other end as better people. We're in a better spot in life. And you know what? We also got together on the eve of the 2013-14 NHL playoffs. Oh my lordy, son, are you ready for the chase for the cup?
Words cannot express how every year it just seems that I get more and more excited for the NHL playoffs. This year, especially with the new playoff format, I'm very excited to see the playoffs. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem like it's playoff hockey for some reason, whether it be just because I've been watching hockey this whole time or I haven't watched enough of it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the playoffs are here, but I think
that's just your hubris as a Blues fan who's gotten to see his team cruise through the first 82 games.
I mean, it could be that's totally true. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. It just feels like that it doesn't. I think it's mostly because of all the distractions that happen up in these couple of weeks that it doesn't seem like it's ready to be here. Now that it is, I am so excited to finally get back to watching countless hours of hockey.
Don't tell the Milwaukee Brewers that.
It's whatever. I mean, the good news is that tomorrow's a day game, so I get to go to work, and then I come home at like 3:34ish, and I get to sit back for 2 hours and just relax until playoff hockey starts. And then Claire's coming over and we're going to watch a scary movie before going to the bars to watch some more hockey.
Your life is good.
My life is fantastic.
Oh, your life is very good. Very, very good, you know? But it's about to get kind of sour. Like, you know this is impending, right? Like you're watching the last 4 to 6 games of their Blues season, right? You know that.
I am not willing to give up. There's no way that this is the last 4 to 6 games of the Blues season. There's no way in hell that is happening.
Well, sir, I believe it's pronounced hell. Alright? You have the ch. When you say it's Passover, sir, we have to Hebrayize everything.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't as funny out loud as I thought it was in my head, but I can't take it back.
Whatever.
Alright, so we're in the Western Conference, so let's start with Colorado, Minnesota, go on down the line. Alright, so Jake.
Alright, yep.
Why don't you tell us your Western Conference predictions?
Alright, so I have Colorado over Minnesota in 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that series, Colorado's clearly the better team, and I think that they're going to be able to go in and with what Wa's doing, he's going to get them playoff ready, and they've been playing playoff ready hockey for a few weeks now, so I think they'll be set. And then in St. Louis versus Chicago, this is a very interesting series, but I think it's going to be the best series of the entire playoffs. I'm calling that right now.
Very well could be, bud.
Both the Blues have lost their last 7 straight, which is not nearly the kind of hockey you want to be playing coming into the playoffs. But a lot of that has to deal with major contributing players being injured, and most of those guys are at least going to come back or about ready to come back. So I think that the Blues are going to hit their stride coming into the series, at the start of the series. And the Blackhawks are also without Patty Kane and Johnny Tays. And so I feel like this series is going to be how much the depth players are going to be able to contribute. And for me, that's the Blues over the Hawks. So I got Blues in 6. Anaheim and Dallas, I have Anaheim in 5. Again, Anaheim's just going to be too much for Dallas to overcome, even though Dallas has Sagan and Ben. I feel like that there's still a couple of years from being a good playoff team. So I got Anaheim in 5, and then I have LA over San Jose in 7. I feel like this is going to be another highly entertaining series, but I feel like that the Kings are I feel like for some reason I just got this hunch that the Kings are going to be better than the Sharks, and they're going to be able to pull it out in the very end.
Keep going. Tell us what you think will happen on the Western Conference side through the Wild Cup.
All right. So then the next series is Colorado and St. Louis. This is a very those two teams have had a lot of fun games coming up in the season. I feel like that series is going to be really good. I have this one in Blues in 6 as well. I think that the Blues have had a little bit more playoff experience, and that the youth of Colorado is going to kind of catch up with them. And I think that Varlamov, while he's a great goaltender, I think Ryan Miller's just going to outplay him, and so I think the Blues are going to win in 6. And then Anaheim and LA, another fantastic series. I've got Anaheim in 7, just because Anaheim's just, again, the more complete team, and I feel like that they're a really good team this year, and I feel like they've got what they need to make the deep cup run. And then so the Western Conference Finals are Anaheim and St. Louis. It's gonna be, I feel like this series again is gonna come down to goaltending, because the Anaheim has Perry and Getzlaf and a bunch of other guys that are gonna be able to put the puck in the net, whereas the Blues they don't have that one pure goal scorer. They just have all the guys that chip in and the defensemen and things like that. So I feel like St. Louis is going to win that series in 7. The Western Conference is just going to be an absolute bloodbath, and teams are going to get beat up by the end of it. But I feel like the depth and the defensive aspects of St. Louis, along with them still being high in goals are going to be what's going to carry them into the Stanley Cup Finals.
All right. Let me give you my rundown in the Western Conference. So,
yeah, go for it.
I have the Colorado Avalanche over the Minnesota Wild in 5 games. Now, I think that the series rather, can be an example of a couple of actually very interesting things. Now, both teams are actually quite similar. They have very poor Corsi. They're very, not very good when it comes to possession, but in different ways. At the Avalanche, defense, lack for inspiration, whereas the Minnesota forwards as a whole, do lack for inspiration in terms of maintaining possession, whereas the Avalanche defense in terms of creating possession. Now, those 2 particular negatives can produce a very exciting series because it means that neither team is going to have a strong foot or may not have a strong foot in any individual game, therefore not in any individual series. Well, and therefore not in the series. So what we could end up seeing is a playoff style run and gun type series. We might. Now, again, it's the playoffs, and so we might not. But I'm really curious to see how these 2 teams structure themselves and where and when they try to take risks, because they each have quality tools to send a winger out of the zone early or to overload on a power play or whatever else that they want to do. This series in particular, I think, could be the highlight of the first round. But it probably won't be because you have a series like St. Louis and Chicago. Now, I'm picking the Hawks in 6. And I don't dislike the Blues in any particular way. I think that I honestly don't know what's going to happen in this series. You can convince me of nearly any possible result in this particular series. I'm picking the Hawks because they're the defending champs, and I think they have better elite talent and more of it. Is that really a good reason? I guess in shorthandnomics it is, but honestly, the Blues could sweep the Hawks quite easily. And anyway, moving on. Speaking of sweeps, the Ducks are going to sweep the Stars. And this is no disrespect to Dallas. The Ducks may be the deepest and best overall franchise on the Western half. They just, through and through, their talent is elite, as well as you have your secondary players playing to the top of their ability, and they're having career seasons. And when you're having, Nick Bonino and Daniel Winnick and guys like that having excellent seasons, and your second tier guys are having those kind of seasons, and then, we know Perry and Getzlaf, and they're having their MVP-esque seasons. That's when you get into a total team style of domination. And the Stars are a pretty good team. Look, they're a playoff team, so they're better than a lot of teams in the NHL, but they don't have the same kind of depth. And they are outclassed. In a season or two, when they're able to acquire some more talent or some of their talent matures, we could see the Stars rising up the standings. But this season, it's Ducks in 4, which means that they're going to have the right to take on the LA Kings. That's right, the San Jose Sharks. The best overall composition of talent with the fewest players that actually went to the Olympics, let alone played in the Olympics. Because mind you, Anthony Niemi did not play over in Sochi. The LA Kings are going to take the Sharks in 6. Why? Because I am not a believer in San Jose. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that I have been on the San Jose train for several years. I think this goes back to when Heatley wore the teal. And they have not shown me that ability to win a playoff series. And I know that they have, but if there's one team that can knock them off their kilter, it's the defense first and equally talent-laden LA Kings. And I do think that this series is a lot like the Chicago-St. Louis series, where you can sort of convince me of how it'll go no matter what. But I've been asked to put my foot down, and I'm saying Kings in 6. All right, so moving on. We have the Avs and the Hawks. Listen, no contest. The Hawks. Unless the Hawks are beat up or somebody in the Avalanche goes Super Saiyan, this is going to be a short series. This might be Hawks in 4. It'll probably be 5, though. And then the Battle of California between Anaheim or LA, or, it's really the Battle of Los Angeles. At least in baseball terms it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the Ducks. And I'm taking the Ducks because I think that their talent is fresher. I think their upper echelon players have had better seasons. I think that their secondary players have had better seasons. You can take everything I said a moment ago about the Ducks when I was talking about their series with the Stars and apply it to the series against the Kings. And so that leaves you with the Hawks and the Ducks in the conference finals. And you know what? It's Anaheim, baby. We're going to have a new champion. Hawks did a valiant job defending their title. Ducks are going to represent the West in the Stanley Cup final. Sir, would you like to kick us off with what you think will happen in the East?
Yeah, for sure. So in the East, my first series is Boston and Detroit, and I have Boston in 7. The Wings are getting hot right now, and I feel like they're going to give Boston some fits in a few games. This could be one of those series where the home team wins every game.
Yeah.
But I have Boston in 7. I just think that Boston's the better team, and I feel like they've been one of the best teams in the East for the entire year, and that's just going to continue. I have the Bolts playing the Canadians, and I have the Bolts in 6, meaning that again for the streak of no Canadian team winning the Cup since 92-93, yeah, that's going to continue. I just think I feel like I can't remember if Ben Bishop is going to be ready for the series or not. But
I can't tell either, but I want to give the nod because we're given no answer.
Right. I still feel like I feel like even if Bishop has to miss a couple of games, I still feel like that Tampa's going to be able to win.
Really? They're that much better.
I feel like they can win, and that I feel like Stamkos is really gonna step up for the team, and I feel like he's gonna really do a lot for the Bolts. It may have to end up 7, but I still have the Bolts in 6. And then moving down into the other side of the bracket, I have the New York Rangers beating the Philadelphia Flyers in 6.
Ooh.
I feel like the Rangers are I just feel like they're the better team. The Flyers, they started out really sucky at the beginning of the year, and they finally pulled it out of their ass, and they managed to make it back into the playoffs again. But I don't know, I just like the Rangers better than the Flyers. I feel like Lundqvist is going to be better, especially if Mason is out, and I feel like that the New York Rangers scorers are going to be able just to light up the Flyers defense and goaltenders, and I feel like that the Rangers are going to be 1 in 6.
I agree with Jacob, Boston over Detroit, although I'm going to say it in 6. The Red Wings are going to win their home games, and that's what's going to happen here. They are going to just be able to match up defensively, and they're going to get a couple of squirts out to center ice, and Nyquist or Tatar are going to bury their chances. This is going to be a Boston series with a couple of flashes of, holy crap, the Detroit Red Wings are still so freaking good. How do they do it? And so that'll be fun. The Bolts, I am under the presumption that Bishop is going to start the series. As I said before, there's no definitive word one way or the other with his injury in terms of playing time. So, Bolts in 6. I think that this is going to be a boring series to watch, but that's really because their styles of play contrast into a bit of offense annihilation. And so what that means is that the Habs are a defensively oriented team, and the Bolts are an offensively oriented team. and the Habs are going to be able to match up well defensively, but they're not going to be able to beat Bishop. And, the best scorer in the world is in the Tampa Bay Lightning uniform. Steven Stamkos, he's going to work his magic. All right, so that's that side of the bracket, and my Rangers prediction, come on. I know I sound like a homer, but if you've watched the Rangers Flyers this season, all right, their personal series, Rangers are going to sweep the Flyers. Now, it's probably more likely that they win in 5 or 6, but I'm going to say sweep because I believe that the Rangers have manhandled the Flyers this season. And I think that the depth of talent and the overall quality of talent trumps the Flyers. And also in the most important position, which is your upper echelon defenseman. All right, McDonough better than Timonen. All right, Girardi better than McDonald. And obviously Lundqvist better than Emery and Mason put together. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I think we can agree on that. So we've come to the surprise. Blue Jackets
in 7.
Oh, that's right, folks. You heard it here. The Columbus Blue Jackets, as agreed upon by Jacob Bourne and Matt Riegler, are gonna get past the mighty Pittsburgh Penguins in 7 nail-biting, saw-grinding games. Oh, yeah. But why, Jacob? Why will the Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I feel like that the Jackets are going to come out real strong, trying to show that they deserve to be in the playoffs. This is only the second time in their entire history that they're in the playoffs. And as much as players and teams say, oh, they don't think so, I really think that the Penguins think that this series is going to be a walkthrough and that they're already looking forward to the next round and what they're going to do there. And so what I think is going to end up happening is that I think the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to come out and really surprise the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they're going to start building momentum right out of game 1. And then I can't really explain why it's going to happen, but I just have this gut feeling that the Blue Jackets are gonna hang with the Penguins right throughout the entire series, maybe get a couple of breaks. Bob is going to step up and stand on his head during the series, and I think that they're going to end up winning in 7.
Do you think that there will be a single game decided by more than one goal without the empty netter?
No.
I don't think so either.
Not including empty netters, no. I think they're all going to be 1-goal games.
This series is going to be so much fun to watch. And this is your classic matchup, in my opinion. This is your classic matchup of overall good team that's balanced throughout the lineup versus quality team that's very top heavy. Now, this is the kind of matchup I think that you need in order to hang with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, I don't need to tell you why. We know who the Penguins are. The Blue Jackets are playing with something extra. The Blue Jackets are really, really coming into their own this particular season and since the Olympics, as well as their studs. All right, your Ryan Johansson, your James Wisniewski, Ryan Murray, Sergei Bobrovsky, all playing so well. And I know that Murray only recently came back to injury, but if you watched his handful of games since he came back, this is going to be a special player in the league. Mm-hmm. The Blue Jackets are going to be able to hang with the Penguins because throughout the lineup, they can hang with the Penguins. The Penguins are going to continue to be very reliant on whatever Malkin and Crosby and Letang can produce. I'm not even worried about Fleury. If there was a softball series for Fleury in terms of the quality of shots that he's going to have to face, it might be this one. I don't mean any disrespect to the Blue Jackets. I'm just saying that they're a fairly straightforward team. When you're straightforward, you're fairly predictable. And so it makes it a little easier to save.
Right.
The Jackets are in a prime position to really do something special for their franchise and perhaps be majorly altering to the Pittsburgh Penguins franchise in terms of what they do or don't do with Marc-Andre Fleury going forward. So I pose this question to you, Jacob.
Yes.
What kind of series does Fleury need to have? What kind of playoffs does Fleury need to have in order to stay a member of the Penguins?
I think it's not necessarily how far the Pittsburgh Penguins go. It's more about the quality of the goals that he lets in, if that makes sense. Meaning that, because we saw last playoffs, he let in just these unbelievably bad goals, and he was getting lit up, letting in 4 or 5 goals a night. And if he does that again for the Jackets, he's not going to have a job in Pittsburgh. But if they're all like 2-1, 3-2 games, and they're legitimate goals that he could not have stopped, then I think he'll stay there. And again, if he lets in 4 or 5 goals, but if they make it into the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, they could still look at him being not a good fit because their forwards had to step up and score 5 goals. But if it's that first round exit to all 2-1, 3-2 games, I feel like they could possibly keep him there because the offense just didn't give him the padding he needed.
All right. I have nothing to add. I completely agree with you. So we are coming down on the last 15 minutes before you have to go to work. So let's get a bit of a move on. So I believe that the Bruins will take the Lightning and move on to the conference finals. And of course, yeah, I'm gonna say it. The Rangers are gonna beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in what might be my all-time favorite playoff series. And the Rangers, of course, are gonna move on to their Stanley Cup Finals. And oh, hey, what do you know? I have them picked to win it. Weird. What about you, buddy?
I also have Boston beating Tampa, and I also have New York beating Columbus. This is where I get a little, this is where I had a little bit of a tough choice to make, is because at the beginning of the season I had the New York Rangers playing the Chicago Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup Finals and then winning it all. And so I was very tempted to take the Rangers and move them into the Stanley Cup Finals, but ultimately I had to choose the Bruins just because I think that they're a better overall team, and I feel like that they've got what it takes to make it to the finals. So I have the Stanley Cup Finals being the St. Louis Blues versus the Boston Bruins, which I think is going to be an absolutely amazing series, just because the Blues and Bruins have always played a good series, especially if
you don't have Bobby Orr to worry about this time.
Exactly, and the Blues exercised their Bobby Orr demon, and finally, for the first time in franchise history, there will be a parade down Grand Avenue when the Blues take home the cup in 6 games.
Well, I hope at least one of us are correct.
I hope so too.
All right, so we don't have a lot of time left. So I give you a couple of options, but we can talk about our impressions of our respective favorite teams heading into the playoffs, or have you noticed how many really good potential playoff matchups and current playoff matchups we have this year? Pick a topic, any topic.
Let's stick with it with playoff matchups.
All right, go for it, bud.
Okay, so yeah, I think there was a really good piece that I read today talking about how the first round of the playoffs is the most exciting part of the Stanley Cup Finals, and I tend to agree with that because it's when the most games are being played. There's multiple games on multiple nights, and everybody's super excited. And I mean, if you're a hockey fan, you're also a fan of Bucci Overtime Challenge, and that's when the majority of the Bucci Overtime Challenges happen anyway. And so, when looking at the first round matchups, we have solid lineups up and down. I mean, 4 out of the 8 matchups are rivalry matchups. You have the Blues and Blackhawks, which is just fucking heated out of its mind. That's an absolutely amazing series that it's going to be. You have San Jose and LA, who played in game 81 against each other, and the fans were already riled up. It felt like a playoff game there. Then you have Boston and Detroit, which is going to be a fantastic. I mean, I know the NHL media love of the push down the original 6 matchup. But when I look at that, I look at an old school rivalry that's taken to a new meaning with both teams being as good as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally the Rangers and Flyers, which, I mean, I think that's another it's the Broad Street Bullies versus the Blue Shirts, and it's going to be a fantastic series. And I'm really looking forward to all 4 of those series, because it's going to be really exciting hockey. It's going to get real dirty. There's going to be a lot of stuff behind the whistle. And I feel like it's going to be a very, very, very exciting opening round of the playoffs.
You have, other than a repeat of 72 and it going the right way, do you have any matchups that you're really hoping for, but may not occur? Uh-oh. Did we lose you? Hey, there he is.
God damn it. Okay, where did I stop?
At your sentence. I heard the whole thing.
Oh, fantastical.
All right. Now, what are some other matchups that you're crossing your fingers to see, and why?
Other matchups. I mean, I really want the Ducks LA series to happen in that second round. I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic. But if they make it this far, the goaltending battle between Tuukka and Lundqvist in the Stanley Cup Final, or in the Eastern Conference Finals, could be really good, because both of them are solid goaltenders, and that would be just a great defensive showdown. And then in the first round, I think Nathan McKinnon versus Nathan McKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog versus Zach Parise. I feel like that could be really cool to just watch how those superstars kind of counteract each other on both sides of the ice. I feel like that could be really cool.
Well, it looks like, I already sort of got my wishes. I got a couple of matchups I was hoping to see. New York, Philadelphia. I'm really excited about that. LA, San Jose. So excited about that. And we're guaranteed a second Battle of California. So, I guess I shouldn't say guaranteed, because the Stars could win, but I'm really not counting on it. Then the Chicago-St. Louis matchup it's so interesting. It's so good. I really hope that the players get healthy before the series and stay healthy during the season, because these two teams are beat up. And their frontline talent, which is the part that's beat up, they are so good. Oh my gosh. I'm just looking at it now, but I believe the St. Louis-Chicago series has the most amount of Olympians in any one series. The Detroit-Boston one, I think, is the only series that rivals it. It wouldn't be LA-San Jose, because San Jose only had 4.
Yeah, the Blues Blackhawks has 20 Olympians.
And a lot of the really important ones are
half of the rosters.
Yeah, and oh man, this series could be one of the all-time best ever. All right, so some of the other matchups I'm hoping for is obviously New York, Columbus. I don't need to tell you guys why, but if you haven't seen any of the Columbus Rangers games over the last few years, especially since the Rick Nash trade, oh my gosh, go find these games. They are bloodbaths in ways that even the New York Phillies series isn't. And that's Broadway versus Broad Street. So a couple of other matchups that I'm hoping to see is, honestly, I'm hoping to see Boston-Montreal. I'm just not counting on it. I would love to see Philadelphia-Pittsburgh.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, obviously I wouldn't be happy at the Rangers' expense, but it would be a really interesting series. And I think it would be really cool if the Stars or the Wild went on a run. I think that they are easily the 2 weakest playoff teams across the board, and that's why I think that it'd be really interesting to see them make a run. Because if the Stars do it, it's obviously being carried by the dynamic duo of Sagan and Ben, which has been so much fun to watch already. But if the Wild do it, That means Brizgalov is standing on his head. That means he's playing otherworldly. How cool would that be?
How cool would it be to see Minnesota and Dallas in the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, that was the next logical conclusion.
And
it'd be Briz versus Thomas in net.
Oh my god. That would be that's a true underdog story if I've heard one before. That's fantastic.
So there's one more matchup that I'm hoping for, and it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it would be so cool to see Dallas-Boston in the finals.
Yeah. That'd be super cool.
Oh. So that ultimately is the one I'm hoping for. But, there's a reason why I'm saying the word hope, because I'm not counting on it.
Right. Alright. I have one question to propose to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what happens when let's say, for instance, what happens if the Rangers get eliminated? Do you A, root for the team that beat you so that way you can say you lost to the Stanley Cup champions? Or B, do you go on a vengeance and just hope everybody, that team just loses and you just hope destruction for the rest of the world?
Oh, I tend to hope that the champion, that the team we lost to is the eventual champion, so I can say that. But what really happens at first is I go at least 48 hours without even thinking about hockey, and I might go an additional 48 without watching. But within that first week, I start watching hockey again. I mean, obviously assuming that there's any hockey left to watch. But, this particular time of the year is one of my two favorite times of the year. It's because baseball is also on. So my first inclination after the Rangers, I'll go as far as I can, is I immerse myself into baseball primarily through the Yankees because I'm a fan, and secondarily through the Mets because they're local as well.
Uh-huh.
And I absolutely love this time of year because my two favorite teams are playing. The baseball season is fresh. It's spring. Yankees, woo! And Rangers playoff hockey. So it's kind of, it's not so bad,
Mm-hmm.
What about you, bud?
I tend to also I also tend to say that I wish that the team we lose to is the eventual Stanley Cup champion. But I also tend to be semi-vengeful and decide that if my team can't be in it, then none of my friends' teams can be in it as well. And so I root against the teams that are playing all my friends' teams. So that way they can suffer in my misery as well. So I do a little bit of both. But mostly it's just I tend to go with then maybe my thing is I hope that we win to the eventual champion, and then as the tiles fall, I eventually pick on the team which team I like better. So like for instance, I wanted Boston to win last year's Stanley Cup Finals after the Blues got knocked out by the Kings in the first round.
See, that's a thing I would never say. I would never say I want to hear the Bruins want to win the cup, but
well, I liked Boston, and the thing was that this was game 6. It was game 6, and I was watching it at my buddy's Paul place, and we were talking about how we wanted the Bruins to win. One, just because we hated all the Chicago fans here up in Milwaukee and wanted them to suffer, and two, because Dropkick Murphys were coming to Milwaukee on Thursday, and we were going to see them. And that Wednesday night was going to be game 7. So we wanted Boston to win game 6 and then win game 7 so that way Dropkick would be super amped up about Boston winning the Stanley Cup, that they would just throw on the best show that they did in Milwaukee. And Chicagoland, and just basically said, fuck you all the Chicago Blackhawk fans, we won the cup, and then just throw down. It would have been great.
Alright, I can dig that. I get sucked into what I already told you. and then rooting for whatever I think is the more interesting story or my friend's team. So like if the Blues are still going or the Hawks are still going, like I'll root for one of them because I have friends who are a fan of theirs. All right, buddy. Our last topic before we end our hiatus. It is who gets the number 1 overall pick tonight?
Oh man, I hadn't even thought about that.
All right. Well, if you give me a second to open up this Pro Hockey Talk article, come on, stop delaying. I can give the odds. Okay, here it is. The Buffalo Sabres lead at a 25% chance, followed by the Panthers at just under 19. Well, Panthers 18.8, Oilers 14.2, Flames 10.7, Islanders 8.1, Canucks 6.2, Hurricanes 4.7, Leafs 3.6, and I mean, I think I've gone far enough.
Yeah. I mean, my gut tells me Buffalo, but something in my head is telling me Calgary's gonna get it. Don't know why, but just for some reason, I'm getting that Calgary feel in my gut that they're gonna end up winning it. Well, they only are allowed to move up 1, right? Or do they move up to the number 1 spot?
This is the draft for the first overall pick.
Yeah. For some reason, I have a feeling that Calgary's gonna get it, so I'm gonna say Calgary.
I am going to say Edmonton because I think that's what would be funny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Edmonton going 4 in a row.
What's it, like 5 of last 7 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Just, and then again, they're not gonna draft a defenseman, so they're just gonna, it's gonna be bad.
Oh man, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Alright, well, it is 4:43 Eastern Standard Time on April 15th, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It has been a blast.
Alright, buddy, go kick some ass and we'll talk. Hold on.
Alright, see you, dude.
Alright. And that's the show.